Hello again. You are listening to Is This Strange? Stories of the Unusual by KL and Roxy. In this episode, I'm going to be turning it over to Roxy because she's going to tell you an interesting story that happened way before we met. So I wasn't there for it, even though she often forgets that and will say, "Remember when?" I'll be like, nope, I really don't.
I expected it to transfer through osmosis over all the years, maybe. I don't know.
Maybe that would explain the dream last night. I don't know.
I know I was having strange dreams too, so. Anyways, so as many of you know, I was in the military.
They might not know this.
As some may know, I was in the military, and I was stationed at the Navy shipyard in San Diego. So San Diego was my place to hang, go exploring, things like that. And one of the places that I like to go was to take the road all the way out to Point Loma, which was the very farthest point to the outside of the bay that led into San Diego, and it has a huge military history. There's a lighthouse there that guides ships in, especially way back in the Waywind, and there's a submarine base there. So not as many civilians down at the end, and at the end of Point Loma, there's bluffs, and you can go there and park and enjoy the ocean. If you want to climb down somewhere safe on the bluffs, there's sea lions, and you can look at the tidal pools. It's really pretty. So come off of the main road, you go down this huge winding road to get down to the lighthouse and the Coast Guard little building that they man the lighthouse with. And then you had some more parking that went back away from the point on the outside. And so it was a favorite place for me to go jogging, go hiking, exercise, things like that, just check stuff out. So went there one morning pretty early. And one thing about the California coast is a lot of times you'll get early morning fog that burns off. And it's really fascinating to watch because as it burns off, it retreats out to the ocean before it dissipates. So got there was some fog. It had already rolled in. It rolled out, and it was about a mile or two off of the beach out over the ocean. And it was pretty solid bank. You couldn't see much past it. So it was really interesting. And then I started to hear this weird noise. And I was like, what is going on here? And I started hiking towards the noise. And at the very far end of the park, because it was technically a park, Point Loma, there was a guy standing at one of the very edges of the bluffs, which is dangerous to do in the first place because you can fall if it gives way, in full Scottish regalia, playing the bagpipes. Okay. And I was like, oh, wow, that's really cool. And he's really good. So I kept hiking towards him because I wanted to know why he went to Point Loma, because I'm a curious person. Hey, why did you come out to the point to play the bagpipes early on a Saturday morning when everybody else is asleep, except for me? So start hiking towards this guy with the bagpipes. And I realized that I was not seeing him all the time. And I kept losing the person, but I could still hear the bagpipes. And I was like, this is really weird. And now the reason why I couldn't see him anymore is that big fog bank that rolls out to sea in the morning and then dissipates had rolled back in as he played.
So he was calling the fog.
He was calling the fog. And every hair on my body just went, ping! This is really creepy because it rolled. Not only did it roll closer, but it actually went up the cliffs, covered the entire point, and came into San Diego, which is not normal behavior. Once it's gone, it's gone. It goes away. It was a nice sunny day, fog in the morning, nice sunny day, fog's back. Wait a minute. There's no wind. There's no reason for this to happen except this guy's playing the bagpipes. Now, there's one way in and one way out. It's a single road. Okay, that is it. There is no other exit. You have to go back to the lighthouse and then up the hill. So I was like, this is really weird. So all of a sudden, after all this fog rolled in, the bagpipes stopped playing. So I scurried my little booty over to the road,
And when she says little, it's because she's short.
I am short. So I go to the road to see, because there's nobody there. I mean, this place was empty. I didn't see any cars. I didn't see anything. And this guy's, it's not like he's just going to wander around the cliffs of Point Loma in full Scottish regalia carrying a bagpipe, right? So I'm along the road and I keep walking to where I had seen him, and no car drove past. Nobody left. There was no other cars there. Nobody was hiding in the trunk. Nobody was...
well, you don't know
the
that.
universe was screwing with me, but I don't think they were. So I get to where I thought I had seen him, and this took about 10 minutes of walking, and the fog starts to dissipate again. So it pretty much started to dissipate the minute the music stopped, and it went back out again. And then it went bye-bye, and the sun shined, and everything was copacetic. And there was no bagpiper. There was nobody there. And, you know, this is when you wish you had somebody with you, which is probably why I keep saying, you remember? Because this is one of those times where you want to look next and say, hey, you heard that, right? And I didn't have that. It was just me. And it was very freaky. And then after I thought about it for a second, I was like, that was so cool. Oh my God, that was so cool. I'm so glad I was here to experience this.
And you have to realize, so Roxy and I have been together 22 years now.
Uh-huh.
So this was how many years ago then?
Oh gosh, this was in 96, 97, 96, 97, something like that. So about 4 years, 4 years before we met.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
well, actually 96, I was just leaving 10th grade.
we don't talk about that. we don't talk about that. We just start at 18 and over or 21 and over. We don't talk about those.
I was going to say, we met when I was 20.
No, we don't talk about that.
We met when I was 22.
Yeah. So
completely legal.
Yeah.
So this happened way before we met. And she has still remembered this so vividly that she tells me about it all the time. And she'll be like, do you remember when? It's like, nope, because I was in high school. Not traveling to California from North Carolina.
That was absolutely the wildest thing. And you have to remember, I was assigned to a Navy ship down there. You kind of develop a understanding of the weather patterns when you're out on a ship. And you know that how fog behaves along the ocean front.
Well, I'm going to say reasonably that if you grew up along any body of water, like sounds, like I grew up on the Currituck Sound or the beach, things like that, you really do learn to appreciate the water and the weather patterns that it can form or bring. So
yeah, it was absolutely wild. And the wildest thing about it is that despite the distance that he had been at, and I could tell it was a guy, everything was completely clear. I mean, you could tell it was a guy with the bagpipes. You could tell he was wearing a greenish colored tartan. You could tell he had the full costume on, including the hat with the feathers and the whole 9 yards. He could have just been yanked out of Outlander, you know. And just plopped himself over there and called the fog in. And the minute he stopped playing, the fog rolled back out. And I have to explain it to you. The reason I couldn't see him is because when the fog rolled back in from that half mile or so out to sea, it rolled in where he was. Yeah. Not the whole everywhere. It rolled in and covered him first and hid him playing.
So you tell us, is this strange? And we will be back for another episode. Bye.
Bye.